Dr. Elena Vasquez walked through the long metal corridors of the research ship Prometheus Dawn. The ship was huge, bigger than any space station she had ever seen. It had been built by humans and aliens working together. This was supposed to be the start of something wonderful. Humans were finally going to work as equals with the older, smarter alien races. Elena stopped at the big window and looked out at the dead planet below. Kepler 442c was a brown and gray world with no life. No plants, no animals, nothing. But buried deep under its surface were ruins that were millions of years old. These ruins were older than any civilization the galaxy had ever known. She turned and walked to the main research lab. The room was filled with strange machines and computers. Alien writing covered the walls. 3 different alien species worked alongside the human team. Elena had learned to trust them over the past 6 months. The Zephyrians looked like walking crystals. They were tall and thin, with bodies that seemed to be made of blue glass. When they spoke, their voices sounded like wind chimes. They were experts at understanding old languages and symbols. The Cathara were very different. They looked like giant insects with 6 arms and 4 eyes. Their skin was hard like armor, and they moved very fast. They were good at building things and understanding how machines worked. The strangest aliens were the Luminari. They had no solid bodies at all. Instead, they were made of pure energy that glowed with different colors. They floated in special containers that let them move around the ship. They could read the energy patterns in very old technology. Elena's team of humans was the best Earth could send. There were scientists, engineers, doctors, and security people. All of them were excited to be part of this historic mission. For the first time, humans were working as partners with alien civilizations instead of being treated like children. Dr. Vasquez, called Marcus Chun, the head of security. He was a big man with serious eyes who never seemed to relax. We found something new in the deep tunnels. Elena followed Marcus to the transport room. They took a small shuttle down to the planet's surface. The ruins were built into a huge canyon that went down for miles. Ancient metal structures covered the canyon walls. Nobody knew who had built them or why they had disappeared. The shuttle landed at the main dig site. Elena put on her environmental suit and walked to the new discovery. Her team had been digging deeper into the ruins for weeks. Every day they found more amazing things. Technology that was beyond anything humans or aliens could build. Machines that still worked after millions of years. "Look at this," said Dr. James Park, one of the human engineers. He pointed to a wall covered in strange symbols. "The Zephyrians say this is some kind of warning. But they can't translate all of it." Elena studied the symbols. Over the months, she had learned to read some of the ancient language. The symbols talked about a great danger. Something about visitors from the stars who brought death. "Have you shown this to our alien partners?" Elena asked. Doc James looked uncomfortable. "I tried to. But every time I bring it up, they change the subject. They say it's not important." Elena felt a cold feeling in her stomach. That was strange. The aliens had been very interested in everything they found before. Why would they ignore something this important? She walked deeper into the ruins with Marcus following behind her. They had found many amazing things in the past months. Power sources that never ran out of energy. Computers that could think faster than anything humans had ever built. Weapons that could destroy entire planets. The alien partners had been very excited about these discoveries. They said the technology could help all their civilizations. Faster space travel, unlimited energy, better communication across the galaxy. Elena had been proud that humans could contribute to such important work, but lately strange things had been happening. Important equipment would break down at the worst possible times. Computer files would get corrupted just when they contained the most valuable information. And some of the human team members had gotten sick with a disease that only affected humans. "Marcus," Elena said quietly, "have you noticed anything odd about our alien friends?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. "I've seen them talking to each other when they think no humans are around. They use a language that our translators can't understand." And they always stop talking when we get close, Elena nodded. She had noticed the same thing. The aliens claimed they only spoke their own languages when they were homesick. But something felt wrong about it. They reached the deepest part of the dig site. This was where the most important discoveries had been made. Ancient computers that still worked. Star maps showing civilizations that no longer existed, and weapons that scared even the alien experts. Dr. Vasquez, called Sarah Kim, another human scientist. You need to see this. We found a new chamber. Elena and Marcus followed Sarah through a narrow tunnel. The walls were covered with more of the strange symbols. But these symbols were different. They seemed to tell a story the tunnel opened into. A large room. Elena gasped when she saw what was inside. The room was filled with skeletons. But these were not alien skeletons. They looked almost human. We ran tests on the bones, Sarah said with a shaky voice. The DNA is very similar to human DNA, almost identical. Elena knelt down next to one of the skeletons. It was the right size to be human. The skull looked human. But these bones were millions of years old. Humans had only existed for a few 100,000 years. This is impossible, Elena whispered. How can there be human-like creatures that are this old? Around the skeletons were pieces of broken technology. Some of it looked similar to the other ancient machines they had found. But some of it looked almost like human technology, just much more advanced. Marcus was studying the walls. Elena, look at these symbols. They're different from the others. Elena looked at where Marcus was pointing. These symbols were clearer, like they had been written in a hurry. As she studied them, she began to understand what they said. The symbols told a terrible story. They talked about visitors from the stars who pretended to be friends. These visitors had worked with the people who built the ruins. They had shared technology and knowledge. But it was all a lie. When the people became too smart and too powerful, the visitors turned against them. They used a great weapon to destroy the entire civilization. The symbols said the visitors had done this many times before to many different worlds. Elena's blood turned cold as she read the final symbols. They were a warning. The ancient people had written that the visitors would come again. They would find other young civilizations and do the same thing. The symbols begged whoever found the message to be careful and not trust the visitors from the stars. Marcus, Elena said in a voice barely above a whisper, I think we're in terrible danger. Suddenly, loud alarms began ringing throughout the ruins. The emergency signal meant all teams had to return to the ship immediately. Elena and Marcus ran back to their shuttle, but Elena's mind was racing as their shuttle flew back to the Prometheus. Dawn, Elena looked at the massive ship floating in space. For the first time, she noticed something that made her heart race with fear. The ship was surrounded by other vessels that had not been there before. Ships that belonged to the 3 alien species. Elena realized with growing horror that the archaeological expedition might not be what it seemed. The ancient warning symbols suddenly made terrible sense. The visitors from the stars had found humanity, just like they had found the civilization that built the ruins millions of years ago. As the shuttle docked with the main ship, Elena grabbed Marcus's arm. We need to be very careful, she whispered. I think our alien friends are not really our friends at all. The betrayal was about to begin, but this time, humanity would not go quietly into extinction like the ancient civilization before them. This time, the visitors from the stars were about to learn what happened when they underestimated the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Elena and Marcus rushed through the corridors of the Prometheus Dawn. Other human crew members were running too. Everyone looked scared and confused. The emergency alarms were still ringing loudly. All human personnel report to the main meeting room immediately, came a voice over the ship's communication system, but it was not a human voice. It was the wind chime sound of a Zephyrian speaking. Elena felt her heart beating fast. Why were the aliens giving orders on a human ship? She grabbed Marcus's arm and pulled him into a side corridor. Something is very wrong, she whispered. We need to find out what's happening before we go to that meeting, Marcus nodded. He had been trained as a soldier before becoming head of security. His instincts told him they were walking into a trap. "The observation deck," he said quietly. "We can see what's outside from there." They climbed up to the observation deck through maintenance tunnels. When they looked out the big windows, Elena's worst fears came true. The Prometheus Dawn was completely surrounded by alien warships, hundreds of them. Ships from all three alien species formed a perfect circle around the human vessel. "Those ships were not there an hour ago," Marcus said. "They must have been hiding somehow." Elena stared at the alien fleet. "They were waiting for us to find something in the ruins. They were waiting for us to prove we were too dangerous to live." Through the windows, they could see smaller alien ships moving toward the Prometheus Dawn, boarding ships. The aliens were coming inside. Elena's communication device buzzed. It was a message from Dr. Park, one of her team members. But the message was in code, a simple system they had developed for emergencies. "Elena, they are taking us prisoner. The aliens say humans are too dangerous. They are going to study us and then destroy Earth. The sick humans are not really sick. They were drugged to keep them weak." "Get to section C7. Marcus prepared something." Elena looked at Marcus with surprise. "You prepared something?" Marcus smiled grimly. "I never trusted them completely. When humans go into space, we prepare for everything, even betrayal by our friends." They ran through the ship's corridors toward section C7. Behind them, they could hear alien voices and the sound of energy weapons. The aliens were taking control of the ship room by room. Section C7 was a storage area that most people ignored. But when Marcus opened a hidden panel, Elena saw it was full of human weapons and equipment. "How did you get all this on the ship?" Elena asked. "Very carefully," Marcus said as he handed her a weapon. "And with help from people who think like me? People who remember that humans have been betrayed before." Elena had never held a weapon like this. It was small, but felt very powerful. "What do we do now?" "First we save our people. Then we send a message to Earth. Then we make these aliens regret they ever heard of humanity." Marcus activated a hidden communication system. It was much more powerful than the regular ship communications. "This is Marcus Chun calling Earth. Defense Command, emergency code Red 7. Humanity is under attack. The alien alliance is false. They plan to destroy our species. Prometheus Dawn is captured. Send everything." Elena heard a voice answer from Earth. "Message received, Marcus. Hold on, help is coming." "Help won't get here for months," Elena said. "Then we hold out for months," Marcus replied. "Humans are very good at surviving." They could hear the aliens getting closer. Marcus handed Elena a small device. "This will let us hear their communications. They don't know we cracked their encryption weeks ago." Elena activated the device. Immediately, she could hear the aliens talking to each other in their real language, not the simple words they used with humans. "The young species has proven itself too adaptable," said a Zephyrian voice, "like the species before them. They learn too fast and ask too many questions. Their emotional bonds make them unpredictable," replied a Cathara voice. "They will sacrifice themselves for their group. This makes them dangerous in ways we cannot control. The Luminary archives show this species pattern has appeared 17 times in galactic history," said a third voice made of crackling energy. "Each time, we have been forced to eliminate them before they become a threat to galactic order." Elena felt sick. 17 times. The aliens had destroyed 17 different species just for being too smart and too brave. "The humans call it determination," continued the Zephyrian voice. "We call it a disease that spreads to other species." "They must be stopped here. What about the ones on their homeworld?" asked the Cathara. "The fleet is already moving toward their star system. In 6 months, the planet Earth will be sterilized. The human infection will be removed from the galaxy forever." Elena and Marcus looked at each other with horror. Earth had 6 months before the alien death fleet arrived. "We need to warn them with more than just a message," Elena said. "We need to send them everything we learned here. All the alien technology. All their weaknesses." Marcus was already working on the hidden computers. "I'm downloading everything." Their ship designs, their weapons, their communication codes. If Earth is going to fight, they need every advantage we can give them. The sound of energy weapons was getting closer. The aliens were almost at their section. Elena, Marcus said seriously, I need to tell you something. This storage room is not just for weapons, it's also a bomb. If we can't escape, we can take a lot of them with us. Elena thought about the ancient ruins below them. The civilization that had been destroyed because they were too successful, too adaptable, too human. No, she said firmly, we don't die here. We escape, we fight. We make sure Earth knows exactly what kind of enemies they're facing. How do we escape a ship surrounded by an alien fleet? Elena smiled for the first time since the betrayal began. The same way humans have always escaped impossible situations, we do something they don't expect. She activated the ship's communication system and broadcast on all frequencies. Her voice went out to every alien ship in the fleet and across space to any civilization that might be listening. This is Dr. Elena Vasquez of the human species. To any aliens listening, you have made a terrible mistake. You think you know what makes humans dangerous. You think it's our technology or our adaptability? You're wrong. She could hear alien voices shouting in confusion as they tried to stop her broadcast. What makes humans dangerous is that we never give up. What makes us dangerous is that we remember every betrayal, every attack, every attempt to destroy us. What makes us dangerous is that we learn from our enemies and become stronger. The door to their hiding place exploded inward. Alien soldiers rushed in with energy weapons ready. Elena continued broadcasting as Marcus fired back at the aliens. You wanted to study us before you killed us. You wanted to understand what makes humans a threat. Here's your answer. We are dangerous because when you betray us, we don't just fight back. We make sure you never get the chance to betray anyone else ever again. An energy blast hit the communication equipment, cutting off her broadcast, but it was too late. Her message was already traveling across the galaxy. Surrender, humans, said the lead Zephyrian soldier. Your species will be extinct in 6 months. Do not make this harder than necessary. Elena stood up slowly, her hands raised. But she was smiling. You still don't understand. You think 6 months is not enough time for humans to prepare? You're about to learn why that's the biggest mistake you've ever made. Marcus was smiling too as alien soldiers put energy restraints on their arms. Earth doesn't need 6 months to get ready for war. Earth has been getting ready for war since the first human picked up a rock to defend their family. The aliens led them away toward the holding areas where the rest of the human crew was imprisoned. But Elena's message was already racing through space toward Earth and on Earth. Billions of humans were about to learn that their worst nightmares about alien contact had come true. The betrayal was complete. The trap had been sprung. But the aliens had made one critical error. They had given humanity time to prepare. And they had shown humans exactly what kind of enemy they were facing. 6 months might not seem like much time. But for a species that had survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and every disaster their planet could throw at them, 6 months was more than enough time to turn Earth into something the aliens had never seen before. A fortress world defended by the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Admiral Sarah McKinnon stood in the war room deep under the mountains of Colorado. Around her, screens showed the entire solar system. Ships were moving everywhere. Human ships, thousands of them, all preparing for the fight of their species. Existence. It had been 3 months since Elena's message reached Earth. 3 months since humanity learned they had been betrayed and marked for extinction. The world had changed completely in those 3 months. Report, Sarah said to the officer next to her. All major governments have united under the Emergency Defense Council, the officer replied. Every shipyard in the system is working at maximum capacity. We've built more warships in 3 months than we built in the previous 10 years. Sarah nodded. When faced with extinction, humans worked miracles. Every factory on Earth was now making weapons or ship parts. Every scientist was working on new ways to fight the aliens. Every person on the planet was doing something to help humanity survive. What about the sleeper agents? Sarah asked. Activated 2 weeks ago. We've received confirmation from 37 different alien worlds. Our people have been living there, peacefully for decades. Now they're ready to hurt the aliens from the inside. Sarah smiled grimly. Humans had been sending people to live in alien space for 50 years. The aliens thought these humans were just traders, scientists, and diplomats. They had no idea that many of them were also trained saboteurs, waiting for orders that everyone hoped would never come. On the screens, Sarah could see the latest reports coming in. Human agents on alien worlds were destroying fuel depots, cutting communication lines, and planting viruses in computer systems. The alien war machine was already starting to break down. "Ma'am," called another officer, "we're getting a signal from the Prometheus Dawn." Sarah's heart jumped. "Elena?" "Yes, ma'am. Dr. Vasquez is still alive. She says she has important information." The main screen changed to show Elena's face. She looked tired and thin, but her eyes were bright with determination. Behind her, Sarah could see the inside of what looked like a prison cell. "Sarah?" Elena said. "I don't have much time. The aliens think their communication system is secure, but Marcus and I found a way to break into it. Are you safe?" Sarah asked. "Safe enough. They're keeping us alive to study us. They want to understand how humans think before they destroy Earth, but I've learned things that can help you." Elena's image flickered as alien security systems tried to cut off the signal, but the human communication technology was better than the aliens expected. "The alien fleets have a weakness," Elena continued quickly. "They use a shared consciousness network to coordinate their attacks. All their ships are connected through quantum communication links. If you can disrupt that network, their fleets will lose the ability to work together." Sarah leaned forward. "How do we disrupt it?" "I've been studying the ancient technology in the ruins. The previous human-like species built a weapon specifically designed to fight the aliens. It's still here, still working. But it needs a living consciousness to activate it." Sarah understood immediately. "You're talking about sacrificing yourself." "Talking about saving our species," Elena replied firmly. "The weapon won't just stop the fleet attacking Earth, it will permanently damage the aliens' ability to coordinate across the entire galaxy. Their civilization will collapse." The signal was getting weaker as alien security closed in on Elena's location. "There's something else," Elena said urgently. "The aliens aren't just afraid of our technology, they're afraid of our emotions. They don't understand concepts like sacrifice, loyalty, or revenge. Use that against them." The signal cut out completely. Sarah stared at the blank screen for a moment, then turned to her officers. "You heard her. Send new orders to all fleet commanders. We're not just fighting to defend Earth, we're fighting to make sure the aliens never threaten another species." Again, across the solar system, human preparations intensified. The moon had been turned into a massive weapons platform. Giant railguns could fire projectiles at incredible speeds. Missile batteries covered every crater. The entire surface bristled with defensive systems. Mars had become a shipyard. Thousands of workers lived in pressurized domes, building warships as fast as possible. The red planet's low gravity made it easy to launch the finished ships into space, but Earth itself had become something the galaxy had never seen before. A fortress world where every citizen was a soldier and every building was a bunker. Children learned to use weapons alongside their regular lessons. Grandparents worked in ammunition factories. Everyone understood that humanity's survival depended on everyone doing their part. Dr. James Park, who had escaped from the Prometheus Dawn in a small shuttle, was now working with Earth's best engineers. They were using the alien technology data that Elena and Marcus had transmitted to build new weapons. "The alien ships are tough," James explained to a group of military engineers, "but they're designed to fight other aliens who follow predictable tactics. Humans don't fight predictably." He showed them plans for new ship designs. "Instead of trying to match their firepower, we make our ships faster and more maneuverable. Instead of big battles, we use hit-and-run attacks. Instead of protecting our ships, we turn them into weapons. The engineers looked confused. Turn ships into weapons? Kamikaze attacks? James said simply. The aliens have never faced an enemy willing to sacrifice their own ships to destroy alien vessels. Their battle computers won't know how to respond. Meanwhile, in the hidden bunkers where Earth's computer experts worked, another kind of war was being fought. Human hackers had been studying alien computer systems for months. They were creating viruses designed specifically to target alien technology. Their computers are more advanced than ours, explained Sarah Chun, Marcus's sister and one of Earth's best hackers, but they're also more connected. When we infect one alien ship, the virus can spread to every ship in their fleet. The viruses were designed to do more than just damage alien ships. They would also transmit human music, human art, and human stories directly into alien communication systems. The aliens would be forced to experience human culture whether they wanted to or not. As the months passed, reports came in from across the galaxy. Human sleeper agents were causing chaos on alien worlds. Supply ships were exploding. Communication networks were failing. The aliens were starting to realize that their primitive enemy was more dangerous than they had ever imagined. On a distant alien world, a human woman who had been living there as a peaceful trader for 20 years walked into the main power station and activated a device that shut down electricity for the entire planet. Before security could stop her, she broadcast a simple message. This is for Earth. On another world, a human diplomat who had spent decades building friendships with alien leaders revealed his true purpose. He had been slowly poisoning the alien leadership with a substance that made them unable to make quick decisions. The alien war effort was being led by commanders who could not think clearly. Back on Earth, Sarah McKinnon studied the latest intelligence reports. The alien extinction fleet was still coming, but it was smaller than expected. Human sabotage had forced the aliens to leave ships behind to guard their own worlds. They're learning to fear us, she said to her staff. Good, fear makes people make mistakes. But Sarah knew the real battle was yet to come. In 3 months, the alien fleet would arrive at Earth. When that happened, humanity would face its greatest test. They had turned their entire species into a weapon. Now they would find out if it was enough. In the prison cell on the Prometheus Dawn, Elena worked with the ancient alien technology. She was learning how to activate the consciousness weapon. Soon, she would have to make the choice that would either save humanity or damn them. The aliens had betrayed humanity because they feared what humans might become. Now they were about to discover that their fears had been completely justified. Humanity was indeed the most dangerous species in the galaxy, and they were about to prove it. The alien extinction fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. 10,000 ships, the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. Their mission was simple: destroy every human in existence. Admiral Kethys of the Zephyrian fleet expected to find a terrified world begging for mercy. Instead, his sensors detected something impossible. The entire solar system had been turned into a weapon. Report, Kethys ordered his bridge crew. Admiral, we are detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. The third planet's moon appears to be entirely covered in weapons. The fourth planet shows signs of heavy industrial activity, and the asteroid belt has been mined extensively. Kethys studied the tactical display with growing concern. Where are their defensive fleets? We detect no large fleet formations, Admiral, only scattered groups of small ships. This was wrong. The aliens had come expecting a desperate last stand around Earth. Instead, the humans seemed to have spread their forces throughout the solar system in tiny groups. It made no tactical sense. Send forward scouts, Kethys ordered. We will advance slowly and destroy each human position as we find it. The alien fleet began moving toward Earth in perfect formation. They had fought this way for millions of years. Overwhelming force applied with mathematical precision. It had never failed. On Earth, Admiral Sarah McKinnon watched the alien advance from her command bunker. Around her, thousands of officers tracked every alien ship. The real battle was about to begin. They're moving exactly like we predicted, Sarah said to her staff. They think this is a normal war. They're about to learn that humans don't fight. Normal wars. She activated the communication system that connected every human defender in the solar system. All units, this is Admiral McKinnon. Today we show these aliens why they should have left humanity alone. Remember, we're not trying to win a fair fight. We're trying to make them pay for every inch of space they take. The first contact came near Jupiter. A small group of human ships appeared to be fleeing from the advancing alien fleet. The aliens pursued them, expecting easy victories. Instead, the human ships led them directly into the asteroid belt. What the aliens thought were random rocks were actually mines filled with nuclear explosives. When the alien ships entered the field, hundreds of asteroids exploded simultaneously, but the explosions were not random. Human engineers had calculated exactly how to break apart the asteroids to create a deadly cloud of high-speed debris. The alien ships found themselves flying through a storm of rocks moving at incredible speeds. "Impossible," Admiral Keffis muttered, as he watched a dozen of his best ships get torn apart by flying rocks. How did they turn asteroids into weapons? His tactical officer looked terrified. "Admiral, the humans are not fighting like any species we have encountered before. They are using the environment itself as a weapon." The alien fleet regrouped and continued toward Earth, but now they moved more carefully, watching for more traps. They found them everywhere. Near Mars. Human ships that appeared to be retreating suddenly turned around and flew directly at alien vessels. Instead of firing weapons, the human ships activated their self-destruct systems and turned themselves into massive bombs. Each human ship that sacrificed itself took out 2 or 3 alien vessels. "They are destroying their own ships on purpose," reported another alien commander. "This is madness." But it was not madness. It was mathematics. Every human ship that sacrificed itself destroyed more alien ships than it could have in normal combat. The aliens were losing the battle of numbers even though they had started with more ships. Near Earth's moon, the aliens finally encountered what they thought was a real battle. Hundreds of human ships formed defensive lines around the heavily armed lunar surface. The aliens prepared for a traditional space battle. Instead, they flew into another trap. The human ships were not trying to win a space battle. They were trying to get the aliens close enough to the moon's surface weapons. When the alien fleet moved within range, the moon opened fire. Thousands of railguns launched projectiles at incredible speeds. Missile batteries fired waves of nuclear warheads. Energy weapons that humans had built using captured alien technology sent beams of destruction across space. But the most devastating weapons were the gravity bombs. Human scientists had learned to create small black holes that lasted only a few seconds. When these went off near alien ships, they created gravity fields so strong that the alien vessels were crushed like tin cans. Admiral Keffis watched in horror as his fleet was torn apart by weapons that should not exist. How do they have technology this advanced? His science officer checked the readings again. "Admiral, these are our own weapons. They have taken our technology and made it better." "Better? How is that possible?" "I do not know, Admiral. But their improvements should not work according to our physics. Yet they do work." The truth was that human engineers thought differently than aliens. Where aliens followed established rules, humans broke rules and made new ones. Where aliens used technology safely, humans pushed it beyond its limits and accepted the risks. On the Prometheus dawn, Elena worked frantically with the ancient consciousness weapon. She had finally figured out how to activate it, but the process would burn out her nervous system completely. She would die to save her species. Marcus stood guard while she worked. "Are you sure about this, Elena?" "I've never been more sure of anything," Elena replied as she connected herself to the alien machine. "The aliens think they can destroy 17 species and get away with it. Time to show them they're wrong." She activated the device. Immediately, pain shot through her body as alien technology interfaced directly with her human brain. But she held on, focusing on a single thought: revenge for every species the aliens had destroyed. The consciousness weapon activated across the galaxy. Every alien ship, every alien world, every alien communication network suddenly experienced something they had never felt before. Human emotions poured through their shared consciousness: rage, determination, the willingness to sacrifice everything for family and species. In the battle around Earth, alien ships suddenly began losing coordination. Commanders who had worked together for centuries could no longer communicate effectively. Their shared tactical consciousness was filled with human thoughts and feelings that they could not understand or filter out. "Admiral," called a panicked alien officer, "our fleet coordination network is being disrupted. Ships are not responding to orders." Kethys tried to contact his other commanders but found only chaos on the communication channels. Human voices were broadcasting on alien frequencies. Human music was interfering with tactical data. Human emotions were overwhelming alien logic. Admiral Sarah McKinnon saw the alien fleet beginning to fall apart and gave the order she had been waiting months to give. "All units, full attack. Show them what happens when they threaten Earth." The real human fleet appeared from behind the moon where they had been hiding. These were not small ships or suicide vessels. These were the best warships humanity had ever built, equipped with the most advanced weapons human science could create. But, more importantly, they were crewed by humans who were fighting for their species' survival. Every human in the fleet knew that if they lost this battle, Earth would be destroyed and humanity would be extinct. The aliens had superior numbers and better individual ships, but they no longer had coordination, and they were fighting an enemy that used tactics they could not predict or counter. Human ships flew in patterns that made no sense to alien computers. They used their own vessels as shields, as weapons, as decoys. They accepted losses that would have caused any other species to retreat, and kept fighting. Elena's sacrifice had given humanity the advantage they needed. The consciousness weapon was spreading through the alien network, carrying human determination and human defiance to every corner of the galaxy, but the battle was far from over. Even disrupted and confused, the alien fleet was still powerful. The fight for Earth's survival was just beginning. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, Admiral Sarah McKinnon stood on the bridge of the rebuilt Prometheus Dawn. The ship had been turned into a symbol of human victory and a mobile command center for the new human fleet. Through the windows, she could see the wreckage of alien ships still floating in Earth's orbit. The battle had lasted 3 days. When it ended, humanity had won the most important victory in their history. But the cost had been terrible. Millions of humans had died defending their homeworld. Elena Vasquez had sacrificed her life to activate the ancient weapon, and Earth itself bore the scars of the greatest space battle ever fought. "Admiral," called her communications officer, "we're receiving another request for protection. This time from the Altarian Republic." Sarah looked at the star map showing the current state of the galaxy. Red markers showed systems where alien civilizations were fighting each other. Blue markers showed systems under human protection. There were a lot more blue markers than there had been 6 months ago. "What's their situation?" Sarah asked. "Zephyrian raiders are attacking their trade ships. The Altarians say they can't defend themselves since the Zephyrian fleet network collapsed." Sarah nodded. This was the new reality. Elena's consciousness weapon had done exactly what she promised. It had permanently damaged the aliens' ability to coordinate across the galaxy. Their great civilizations were falling apart as local commanders fought each other instead of following central authority. The Zephyrians, who had once controlled hundreds of star systems through their crystal network, were now broken into dozens of small groups that spent more time fighting each other than anyone else. The Kithara had split into competing hives that saw other Kithara as enemies. The Luminari had lost their shared energy consciousness and become individual beings who did not know how to work together. "Send the 7th Fleet to Altair," Sarah ordered. "Standard protection contract. They provide resources and trading rights. We keep the raiders away from their ships." This was how humanity had become the dominant power in the galaxy. Not through conquest, but through protection. Species that had once ignored humans now begged for human help against their former allies. Commander Marcus Chun entered the bridge. He had survived the battle for the Prometheus Dawn and was now Sarah's chief of staff. The alien prison camps had been liberated when their guards lost communication with command and began fighting each other instead of watching their prisoners. The monthly reports are in, Marcus said, handing Sarah a datapad. Human colonies are being established in 47 new systems. Our exploration fleets have made contact with 12 species that were previously unknown to galactic civilization. Sarah read through the reports. These new species were mostly younger civilizations that the three major alien powers had been planning to eliminate or control. With the old powers collapsed, humanity was finding allies everywhere. What about the resistance movements? Sarah asked. Still active in 30 systems. Local alien governments that refuse to accept the new order, but they're mostly fighting each other now instead of us. The truth was that most aliens were more afraid of their former allies than they were of humans. The consciousness weapon had filled their networks with human emotions and memories. They had experienced what it felt like to lose family members, to fight for survival, to face extinction. Many aliens were still trying to understand these new feelings. Admiral, called the science officer, we're picking up a transmission from the ruins site. It's automated, but it's using Dr. Vasquez's access codes. Sarah felt her heart jump. On screen, the image that appeared was not Elena, but it was her voice coming from the ancient alien computer systems. If you are hearing this message, it means the consciousness weapon has been activated and I am no longer alive. This is my final gift to humanity. Elena's recorded voice continued. I have programmed the ancient systems to search for evidence of other species that were destroyed by the Alien Alliance. The ruins contain star maps showing 17 different civilizations that were eliminated over the past million years. I am transmitting the locations of their homeworlds to you now. New markers appeared on the star map. 17 dead systems, where entire species had been wiped out for the crime of being too successful, too adaptable, too much like humanity. These civilizations all left behind technology and knowledge, Elena's voice explained. Some of it is more advanced than anything the current aliens possess. I am also transmitting the locations of hidden alien weapon storage facilities and command centers. Use this information to ensure that no species ever again has the power to commit genocide. The transmission ended, but data continued flowing from the ancient systems. Star charts, weapon specifications, historical records of alien crimes that had been hidden for thousands of years. Marcus studied the new information. Elena's given us the keys to the entire galaxy. Sarah looked at the data with mixed emotions. Elena had not just saved humanity. She had given them the tools to become the galaxy's dominant species. The question was what humanity would do with that power. Set course for the nearest dead civilization's homeworld, Sarah ordered. We're going to see what they left behind. Over. The following months, human exploration fleets visited the 17 dead worlds. Each one told the same story. A young, innovative species that had impressed the galaxy with their achievements. Friendly contact with the three major alien powers. Growing cooperation and shared knowledge. Then sudden betrayal and total extinction, but the extinct species had not gone quietly. Each world contained hidden weapons, secret technology, and detailed records of alien tactics. It was as if they had all known that someday another young species would face the same threat and need the same tools. Human engineers studied the abandoned technology and improved upon it. Human scientists learned from the mistakes of 17 dead civilizations. Human military leaders developed new strategies based on the detailed records of how the aliens had conducted their genocides. 1 year after the Battle of Earth, humanity controlled more star systems than the three alien species combined. But they controlled them differently. Instead of ruling through fear and domination, humans offered partnership and protection. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years found themselves working together. Under human leadership, trade flowed freely between worlds that had Never communicated before? Scientific knowledge was shared instead of hoarded. The galaxy was changing. And humans were the cause of that change. Admiral Sarah McKinnon stood. In the memorial room of the Prometheus Dawn, the walls were covered with the names of every human who had died in the war. Elena Vasquez's name was at the top, written in letters of gold. "You did it, Elena," Sarah said quietly. "You saved us all." But Sarah knew that Elena had done more than save humanity. She had freed the entire galaxy from a system that had kept civilizations in fear for millions of years. The three alien species were no longer capable of threatening anyone. Their power had been broken permanently. Young civilizations across the galaxy were now free to grow and develop without fear of extinction. They learned from humanity's example that cooperation was stronger than domination, that diversity was more valuable than conformity. The galaxy had new guardians now. Humans patrolled the trade routes, keeping them safe from pirates and raiders. Human colonies welcomed refugees from systems torn apart by the collapse of the old order. Human scientists worked with dozens of species to solve problems that had seemed impossible. Earth's children had inherited the stars, but they had also inherited the responsibility to protect those stars for everyone. The aliens had been right about one thing: humans were dangerous. But they were dangerous to tyrants and genocidal empires, not to peaceful civilizations trying to build better lives. Marcus Chun found Sarah in the memorial room. "The latest reports are in? No hostile alien activity anywhere in human space. The trade routes are secure, and we've received 17 new requests for human protection this month." Sarah smiled. Elena would be proud. The galaxy is finally safe. She looked out the window at the stars, where human ships carried the flag of Earth to distant worlds. Each ship carried the same message that Elena had broadcast during humanity's darkest hour: betrayal has consequences, and those who threaten the innocent will face the wrath of the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The three alien species had made their last mistake when they betrayed humanity. Now the galaxy knew what happened to those who underestimated the power of a species that never forgot, never forgave, and never gave up.